Hey guys, today we're going to go over a LeetCode problem called valid parentheses, where the problem statement is given a string containing just the characters, all these parentheses types. We want to determine if the input string is valid, and input string is valid if all the open parentheses that must be closed by the same type of brackets, and all the open brackets must be closed in the correct order. And so we can see that all throughout these examples that it's closed and open by the same one. These are all closed logically. This one is not working because it's closed and open by two different types of parentheses. This one doesn't have the logic flowing through. One of them closes before the other one could close, and this one closes and opens properly. And so we know that S only consists of parentheses and no other characters. And so knowing this information, we can go ahead and use a stack. Using this one parameter, we know that all of them are these characters only, and if we keep a stack, we're able to make sure that we collect all of the opening parentheses and make sure that if they're closing properly, we can go ahead and keep going through each of the parentheses and make sure that they work as intended. And so we'll go ahead and create the stack in order to keep all the characters of the stack, and so we'll have a new stack here. And so by creating this stack, we're able to actually create an enhanced for loop and go through all the characters, where we'll go through, we'll create a character array using the Java's built-in char array by making all the parentheses into characters. And so now we can store the characters into this stack, which is why I made it a character type. And so now we want to check first that if any of these are opening parentheses, and so we need to make sure that it's not. We need to make sure it's one of these opening parentheses. So if it's the opening round parentheses, or if it's equal to the opening curly parenthesis, or if it's finally open to the square parenthesis, we want to make sure that we get all of these cases when we're doing this, and we want to make sure that it goes for the square parentheses as well. And if it's one of these, we want to make sure we push in the opening parenthesis over here, and so that'll allow us to store all the opening parentheses. And now we need to check else if one of the parentheses exists here. So we need to make sure that one of the opening parentheses, if it's empty. So if one of the opening parentheses exists, this will return true, and this will return false if one of the opening parentheses exists. And so we need to check if there's a respective closing parentheses. If one of the closing parentheses were seen and none of the opening parentheses were there, then we need to go ahead and return false, because that doesn't logically return as it should. And so now we need to do 3 if statements to check if the respective closing parenthesis is seen as the opening parenthesis as well. So now we'll go ahead and do the round parenthesis, and we need to make sure that we peek into the stack and see its respective closing parenthesis. So we need to check opening parenthesis, and so we need to just do this 3 times. So we need to pop out that opening parenthesis, because we have just seen is in the stack, and so it logically falls through. And so we need to do that to the curly bracket as well over here. And so we have the curly parenthesis over here, and then we need to do it finally for the square bracket as well here. And so we have the square bracket, and if none of these go through, then we know that it is false, because the logic isn't flowing through properly. And so after we've done this iteration throughout everything, we can finally return the stack dot is empty. We need to make sure that none of the opening parentheses are there, because we've went through all closing parentheses through the iteration. And so if there are still opening parentheses left, we know that the answer or the string given is actually not valid. And so we'll go ahead and run the code. We see that we get the answer right there. So we'll go ahead and submit the solution, and we see that it works. Thank you for watching the video.